Hi everyone, my name is Zach, and in this video we will create all the luggage. As base mesh we use all the shapes we created in the first video, and then we will sculpt all the details on top of this. Also we will create this wooden rod with the bottle hanging on it. Alright, without further words, let's get started. Let's unhide these objects here, and now we have to adjust them to the new objects we have. All these things we have here we will use as base mesh for the things we want to sculpt. So I would say let's start with the biggest thing here. So, and here we have to keep two things in mind. This is basically a mat rolled up, as you can see, so we have to sculpt the shape of this mat into this mesh. And here we have these ropes around this mat, so we have to make it tighter. So let's apply the subsurf modifier. Make sure that dynamic topology is enabled. Let's check the resolution. Let's start with 60, and symmetry in the X direction should be enabled. So X is wrong in this case, as you can see. So let's try Y or Z. Okay, in this case it's Z. So the object is somehow rotated, but no problem. Whereas the Z axis, this works. So let's just get started to define the main shape. For this I use our crease brush, and for the start we define the end up here. So we draw this hard line, and then let's create this helical shape. Also I use a crease brush to create this creases for the ropes, and the ropes will be stronger up here and in this area here, and not that strong in this area here. And then we also add some folds in this direction here. Let's use this sharp crease brush to sharpen this line here and also this line here. And at this point let's increase the resolution. And now let's fine-tune this. Now I disable the symmetry, and now let's increase the folds and add some random folds here. So, and if we now like, we can also add some of the seams. So let's enable the mirroring again. Let's use our seam brush. And in this case, let's again increase the subdivisions quite much. And use a line stroke. And I think this is okay. Maybe we should first add a sharp crease in some areas. Also with a higher resolution of the dynamic topology. Maybe not too high. And this will add this final high resolution detail. Okay, and now let's also add some seams. So, and one important thing we have to consider is that it's fitting to this wooden thing here. So let's disable dynamic topology and use the grab brush. And see that the shape is fitting here. So, and yeah, basically the same workflow we will now use for the other bags here. So I will add some major details, and after this I add some of the lines and the seams here. So, and I think I will speed up the whole process of sculpting all these in one row. So just one note, all these details like this stuff here, and so on, we will add at a later point. So for now, we're just sculpting the main part of this bags and luggage stuff. Okay, just a short side note. I just copied the modifier from this thing down here, the displace modifier, to all of the bags. So we get an extra level of detail here. Okay, I'm through with the main shapes, as you can see. The second stack I just duplicated, so I just duplicated the first one and then adjusted the shape a bit and sculpted in some big folds and also some smaller folds, which are really adding to the shape. And keep in mind, down here is the weight the strongest, so here we have the fewest folds, and up here we have a bit more folds. So now I select both of these, then one of the bags, Control L, and then modifiers. Now I just duplicate the modifiers from this over to here. Okay, now I select everything, go to Tools, Edit, and click on Smooth Shading. So over here we can see that some of the scales are peeking through here. So let's switch to Sculpt Mode and disable Symmetry. Also, we should disable the Displace modifier and then disable Symmetry. Okay, before we go on with adding all the details, ropes and all this stuff here, let's create this part here without the rope. The rope and all these things we will do in an extra step. But let's create this wooden stick and this bottle here. Here we use the same workflow as we used for this thing here. That means we add a plane, then we add a subsurf modifier, the skin modifier, and also a subsurf modifier again. Then in edit mode, I delete 2 vertices, then we have 2 left, and with Ctrl A I can scale it down. And I think we will put this somewhere along here, so maybe we can put those 2 things together with a rope later on. So I think this should work. I extrude 1 vertex here so that we have this cut off branch here, so it looks a little bit more interesting. But take care if you do something like this, that something like this does not happen. So you have to move this around until you have a nice geometry. This is important, otherwise you will have some bad problems later on while sculpting. Okay, let's increase the subdivisions so that we have a nice subdivided mesh already. And then we apply everything. And then we use the sharp crease brush and the destruction brush to add the details. Since we did this already with the other wooden parts, I just speed up this part. Okay, here we have the wooden stick, and the other two parts, the bottle and this ring here, we will quickly create without sculpting. So let's add a cylinder here. The vertices I set down to 12. Let's scale this down, and let's add the subsurf modifier with 2 subdivisions for now. And let's extrude this here. Also this part. Then let's press I for inset face and extrude this to the inside a bit. Now let's put this directly under the stick here. Something like this. And then let's quickly add a torus. Also decrease the subdivisions and make it smaller. Something like this, and let's add a subsurf modifier. As you can see, I always try to keep the basic shape very rough and then use a subsurf modifier to add details, because this we can always turn off and on. So with Alt S we can thicken this if we like, and also I would put this in another shape. Yeah, this should be just a little detail. So, alright guys, now you can see we have added all the luggage with all the details and this wooden wart here. And in the next 2 videos we will add the final details like the ropes and the belts.